All right, welcome to Daily Rates Live with the Mortgage Calculator. Today we are going to be going through our live mortgage rates, and then we are going to be talking about short-term rental property loans. So give us just a moment here to go live on all the different platforms. Appreciate everybody tuning in nice and early. You can go ahead and drop a comment there as you tune in. We appreciate it. And we'll get started here in just a moment. Great topic here today to go over, and interesting to see what the rates will look like today. All right, looks like we are live on all the different platforms, so we will go ahead and get it started. Go ahead and keep dropping comments there in the chat as you tune in. You can also drop any questions you have in the chat as we go through our deep dive topic here for today. So welcome everyone. My name is Kyle Hershey. I'm the COO of the Mortgage Calculator, joined here by our president Nick Hershey and our sales manager Jose Gonzalez. We are a lender that specializes in non-QM loans, and what we do every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern on this show is go through our actual live mortgage rates, and then we do a deep dive into a different loan topic. Today's topic is going to be short-term rental property, something very popular, especially with us here at the Mortgage Calculator. So we'll go over that here shortly, but before that, let's go ahead and check out the rates. So Nick, if you're ready, let's pull up today's rates and see what they are looking
like. All right. So market's bouncing back from yesterday. So definitely had a good show yesterday. Rates are still down today. We will set up a basic scenario and compare across the programs. And we have initial rates for today. It is August 6th, just after 11 a.m. Eastern. So most of our standard programs have their initial rate sheets live now. And we will compare the APR across the programs. If you'd like a full breakdown and itemized loan estimate with all the fees that go into the APR, please get with our team members. We have over 300 loan officers to help you out. What we will compare today is a standard single-family home, so we can compare all the programs. We'll use an estimated $500,000 purchase price, $400,000 loan amount. That corresponds to 20% down, 80% loan to value. We will set everything to a 760 credit score and an estimated 40% debt to income ratio. So with those settings, let me pull up the rates for today. So still smoking rates here under 6%. It's been quite a while since we've been back there. First up, our 30-year fixed conventional option coming in at 5.99 rate. And the final APR 6.301. Now, if for any reason our customer doesn't qualify for a conventional option, typically you want to quote an FHA option, which allows more leniency on credit issues, as well as a much higher debt to income ratio overall. However, it does require upfront and yearly mortgage insurance. Rates today come in at 5.125, final APR 6.076. So notice if our customer qualifies for both, they may want to consider FHA if they're up for that monthly mortgage insurance. And our customers that need to use it, definitely a very comparable option. Now moving on to our VA for our eligible active service members and veterans. If you are eligible, these programs are definitely amazing. Rates today come in at 5.375 and final APR with the standard funding fee 5.67, which if you compare across the programs, VA is definitely going to be better for our eligible borrowers. So definitely take advantage if you are eligible. And moving on to our final government option here, USDA is only for properties in USDA eligible areas, which is the rural areas of the country. If our customer is eligible and our property is eligible, these are good options. Rates come in today 5.375, final APR 6.089. So most of our customers would be comparing this to an FHA if they're shopping in those areas. Typically, USDA is a touch cheaper. Today it's very comparable, almost exactly the same as FHA, and it is cheaper than conventional today as well. Now that rounds out our standard options that any other bank or lender has. But if our customer doesn't qualify, many other banks or lenders will have to deny them. But we have over 5,000 other options. Starting here with our non-QM alt doc option. So if our customer doesn't qualify using standard full doc tax returns, needs to use alternative docs such as bank statements, 1099s, P&Ls, all the different options we have here under alt doc. The rates are low as 6.625, most likely for a bank statement option, which is typically the option that shows up here. Final APR 6.964. So we're very close, usually within half a point, just a touch higher than half a point today. I expect that to normalize here in the next couple of days. So very good options, very comparable there for our borrowers that need to use alternative docs. And moving on to our investment properties, tons of options for investment properties. First up, our non-QM alt doc. So again, bank statement or similar, coming in at 7.125, final APR 7.453. And we'll compare that to our other investment options. No government programs exist for investments, so no VA, USDA, or FHA, but we do have our conventional options. 30-year fixed conventional came down a little bit here, 6.875 rate, final APR 7.211. So it's beating the alt doc options by quite a bit, which is great for our customers that want to use conventional. But we always recommend our investors to check out the best program we have, our DSCR, stands for debt service coverage ratio. No income is needed, no employment is needed. We simply use the estimated rents from the appraisal to determine a DSCR ratio. If the rents can cover the expenses, aka the property cash flows monthly, that is a ratio of 1 or higher, which is preferred. We even have options for under 1, but for our demo here, we use a ratio of 1.5 so we could see all the most common programs. First up is our option with a 3-year prepayment penalty, which is pretty standard. Rates come in today, 6.625, final APR 6.939, which is beating conventional. Absolutely amazing to have DSCR beating conventional. And we even have some programs that allow a 5-year prepayment penalty to get the rates even better. Rates as low as 6.375, final APR 6.669. Again, beating conventional, absolutely amazing. And the final option here is a DSCR with no prepayment penalty. Some states do not allow it, and some investors request to not have one. No problem. We have rates as low as 7.125, final APR 7.466. So when we compare that to conventional, it's a touch higher, but I'd still say 100% of investors would prefer a DSCR loan when it is that close in price. And the final 2 demos we always go over are second mortgage options, very popular these days, as most of our customers have a low rate first mortgage, but still may need some cash out. You can obviously typically get a HELOC as the only option, but now we have our 30-year fixed second mortgages for a primary home here, coming in at 8.625 rate, final APR 9.001 to get cash out of a primary home. And these are non-QM programs, so we can use bank statements, P&Ls, and similar. And our 30-year fixed second mortgages to get cash out from an investment property. HELOCs are very rare for investment properties, so these are great options. Rates as low as 9.875 to get cash out and keep that first mortgage in place. Final APR 10.063. So those are our standard options we go over every day. Well, let's get into today's topic for short-term rental properties. Very popular request, especially as rates have been high. A good percentage of our investors that are still out there investing are looking to use short-term rents in order to make up that difference in rents there. So very popular request. There's a lot of ways to do this. We can't do this on the live pricing demo. It is a very tricky way to structure these deals, but we have all of the solutions here for you. So Jose will highlight a couple that are our most popular solutions for anybody wanting to use that short-term rents for their loan. Hold on, I think I got you muted there, Jose. There you go.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for Daily Mortgage Rates Live with the Mortgage Calculator. Definitely short-term rental combined with DSCR, one of our favorite loan products, right? We love providing solutions to investors, and a lot of times it's just about thinking outside the box in your review of the guidelines as well, right? Outside the box products and outside the box analysis. So first option I'm going to share with you today here is our short-term rental DSCR purchase with the minimum down payment, because there's many ways that we can qualify. We can actually qualify, obviously, with long-term rent, which would be the preferred scenario, or if we need a higher DSCR, then we could use AirDNA, or we could use the short-term rental revenue reports, or we could even use 12 months worth of bank statements from the seller of the property if they're willing to disclose that kind of information. So many ways to get to the objective here. First way, which would be the lowest down payment option, is if the property actually qualifies using the long-term rent. You're purchasing the property, right? Um, you're not actually operating it yet as a short-term rental, and even if the current seller was operating it as a short-term rental, there's no requirement for you to operate it as a short-term rental when you are going to take over. So when you are submitting your loan application, if the long-term rent qualifies the property, then no need to bend over backwards and use all of the other short-term rental techniques. So that's the first lesson today, right? Um, I guess we would say if the shoe fits, wear it. So in this case here, our 15% down, which is our lowest down payment DSCR option, using long-term rent to qualify, has some amazing rates and obviously very low down payment. And as always, never any mortgage insurance for any non-QM loan product. So here, 8.374 is our lowest cost option at par, and we can buy that down all the way to 6.999 at a cost of 3.35 points. Now our next option is now getting into our tweaking of the guidelines here. 20% down DSCR purchase on a short-term rental property where we're using either AirDNA. Now AirDNA is a database of short-term rental properties. So you would go into the database similar as you would go into the MLS to look at comparable rents. Here you're going to look at comparable rents in the AirDNA database as opposed to the MLS, which is the realtor database. So 8.6, and you see a considerable improvement in the rate due to the lower LTV and also basically due to the lower LTV, more options at 80%. So 6.875, that's an amazing number for a short-term rental DSCR loan, is our par rate. And you can buy that down all the way to 6.375 for only 1.975 points. So this is using AirDNA or short-term rental revenue reports. And you can actually use that option to also with 12 months bank statements if the seller has those. So here now is another twist to the guidelines is if you do not have any short-term rental comps, AirDNA short-term rental comps that are suitable, if the appraiser was not able to find any short-term rental comps, because remember, we need to have proximity to the subject, similar style, similar gross living area. You can't just use 5,000 square foot comps for a 2,000 square foot home because those are the only ones you found. Those would not be acceptable. So if the long-term rent didn't qualify you and there is no AirDNA or short-term rental revenue reports or bank statements, then the low ratio DSCR option is a good one, where you do not have to meet even 1.0 in the debt service coverage ratio. This means that your rent exceeds your, that your housing expense exceeds your rent. So for the 0.75 to 0.99 option, we still have great rates. Look at that, 7.875 at par. And you can buy that down all the way to 6.49. The only catch here is basically 25% down payment. So if they have the 25% down payment, there is no reason that they should not be purchasing this property or refinancing, whatever may be the case. And now this is our short-term rental purchase option, 25% down, using our no ratio DSCR product, which is when the debt service coverage ratio is less than 0.75. So now this one is, again, 25% down as well. Very good rates when you consider this is for a property that technically could have a debt service coverage ratio of 0. So here, 8.624 is our lowest cost option at par. And you can buy that down all the way to 7.124 for a cost of 3.475 points. And now for some cash out options. This is our cash out option using the short-term rental revenue report, right? For this option, you have to have 12 months of activity. Will be averaged out over a 12-month period. If you have less than 12 months, they may make an exception for 10 or 11 months, but they will average it out over 12. So here you do have great options at a 75% LTV. You're looking at 6.875 is at par, and you can buy that down all the way to 6.375 at a cost of 1.975 for our DSCR cash out 75% LTV using revenue reports. So here is another 75% LTV option on a cash out. Now, this one is a very interesting one because this one uses AirDNA, and this one is specifically for properties recently put into service. It could be a property that you just bought, rehabbed it, and now are putting it for rent as a short-term rental property. Obviously, no history yet on it, but we can use the AirDNA. So this is a great option. And you're looking at 7.499, our lowest cost option with a lender credit of 0.025, and you can buy that one down all the way to 6.499 at a cost of 3.35. And our last option here is our cash out of our short-term rental property using a DSCR loan. And this one is with the no ratio option, the less than 0.75 DSCR option. Now, this one is at a 70% LTV. The maximum LTV for the no ratio is 70. It is 75 on a purchase, 70 on the cash out refi. And our lowest cost option is 8.75 at a cost of 0.25 points. And you can buy that down all the way to 7.75% at a cost of 3.35 points. So some amazing rates here from the mortgage calculator for your short-term rental property loan. So please look to the mortgage calculator for all your short-term rental properties, DSCR, non-QM, agency, FHA, USD, and all the other products that we showcase in our podcast.
All right. Thank you, Jose. Great programs there. I don't see any questions, so I think we can go ahead and wrap it up, but absolutely amazing programs there. Yet still no questions coming in, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Remember, we do this at 11 a.m. Eastern every weekday where we go through the live rates and then do a deep dive into a different loan topic. So we'll be back tomorrow with a new topic. We will see you all tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, for the next episode of Daily Rates Live.